This is not a phone, it's a super camera phone. This periscope zoom brings you closer to the things you love. The super spectrum sensor that finds light in the dark. Huawei P30 series.
This Athletics New Zealand event is proudly brought to you by the new Huawei P30 and Sky City.
A very warm welcome to the heart of Auckland City for the Huawei P30 Vertical Pursuit. We are right under the Sky Tower in the middle of Federal Street for this wonderful pole vault event where some of New Zealand's best will go at it today. Well, one of New Zealand's best, though, is sitting beside me, Olivia Mctaggart, not able to compete today, but excited to be able to watch and see what these athletes can do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a new job for me to be behind the microphone and commentating, so we will see how it goes, but it will be good fun, and I'm super excited to see how these guys go today. They're lining up on the runway now, about to be introduced, but it's great conditions out there. Beautiful sunny day, so we're lucky.
We absolutely can't wait. So I'm Ricky Swanell, and with me, Olivia Mctaggart. She knows what she's doing, thankfully, and we'll head out to Jaco Flaherty to introduce our athletes for this afternoon's event.
And we start with, and please welcome Aria Rhodes, Isabella Morel, Hanna Philpott, Imogen Eris, Olivia Mctaggart, Etienne Dupre, James Stein, and Nicholas Southgate. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome them all, our athletes here today.
Wow, hugely exciting moment, Eliza. For some of these athletes, they've been here and done this, but I look at Aria Rhodes, 17 years old. What's the nerves like in an event like this?
I mean, the nerves are pretty high, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, you want nerves and you want a bit of adrenaline, and that really helps you in these sorts of competitions. So I'm sure they're all feeling better about having warmed up now, but there's always big nerves before the first height because you're not in the competition yet and you have to get in the comp, and once you're in, usually the nerves subside a little bit, but right now they're all just going to have to sit down and just try and stay a bit relaxed and calm.
Olivia Mctaggart is probably the big name in there for the women, with you sitting here beside me. What can we expect from Olivia today?
Well, she's had a really, really great season. Only a few weeks ago in Christchurch at Nationals, she jumped really well, and she jumped a new PB of 446 metres, which is only 10 centimetres off the world champ standard, which is really exciting for someone of her age. And so, of course, that would be a great height to do today. 4.56 is the standard for the world champs at the end of the year, but any improvement on her PB today will get her higher up the ranking list, and you can still get into world champs based on your ranking if you're in the top 32. So anything that's better than her PB would be outstanding today.
Aria Rhodes is going to be our first athlete on the runway this afternoon. As Eliza said, perfect conditions. But what are the variables at an event like this when you're not in a stadium?
It's certainly different. I mean, the wind for one, the wind's a big thing for pole vault, and as you can see with Aria's here, there is a little bit of wind there, but it looks like it's a tailwind, and a tailwind is perfect. It's what you want because it just gives you that little bit of an extra push down the runway, a little bit of extra speed, and you just feel faster and feel better. So it looks like it's funneling actually really nicely through the buildings there, and obviously warm weather's good, but she'll be nervous, ready for her first jump, as everybody is, but once the first one's down, usually, you get into the competition.
Yeah, no pressure putting the 17-year-old up there first. Aria Rhodes out of Pinehurst School over on the north shore of Auckland. Her personal best is 350, coming in at 322 here.
So each athlete is given a minute. So once their name is called, they will have a minute to get themselves ready, pick up the pole and start running.
Here goes Aria Rhodes. These athletes have been out there warming up. First attempt at 3:22. Not a bother at all. Great start.
Easy clearance. That was a really nice start. And it's always good to come in at a height that you know you can clear, something that you know you've done. And usually in warm-up you have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Is it tricky though? The way they are running is directly into that sun. We did notice in the warm-up having to block some of the eyes and shield that a little bit. But just checking in, judges are happy, we're away.
Yeah, I mean, with the sun, obviously that's not ideal, and a lot of vaulters will actually wear sunglasses, but we don't tend to do it so much here. I don't know why. We just haven't gotten into it. But that of course is just another thing to deal with. But with being an athlete, you really do need to deal with distractions like that. I mean, this is probably more distractions than normal, but at the same time, at big events and in big stadiums, there's so much going on, so you have to be able to deal with distractions and just get on with it.
So it'll be Rhodes again at 3:37. I said she is the youngest of these competitors and still relatively new. What's a little bit of her background in the training camp over on the North Shore?
Well, she's come into our group with Jeremy fairly recently in the last year or so because she's been doing so well, which is just great. And so it's so good to see more people coming in. But she was coached by another coach, Doug Balcom, before that. And you might notice with Aria, she looks like she jumps a little differently, and that's because she's left-handed and almost every other vaulter is right-handed. So her jump is almost the reverse of other people's.
Here is Aria Rhodes again at 3:37. It wobbles and it goes off.
Oh, but she had the height there, which is always a good thing. I mean, if you don't have the height, there's not much in it for the next one. But when you've got height like that, there's a chance to just tweak a few little things that went wrong.
Is it just on the way down, was it?
Yeah, and it even looked like she just pulled out of that jump a little bit early, which means that if something wasn't working, she felt it wasn't quite right, and so she just pulled out, and that happens quite often.
So a miss for Aria Rhodes at 3:37. That brings Isabella Morel
into the competition, yes. So her opening height is 3.37 metres, which is what we're at now.
Isabella's got a personal best of 3:71. She was third at the Nationals just a few weeks ago. It looked like pretty miserable conditions there in Christchurch. Not so today here in Auckland. A good crowd have come in to watch these great athletes.
It's good to see her smiling. It's always a nerve-wracking time at your first attempt, first height, but you just have to suck it up sometimes and just take a breath and just go and just do it.
So Isabella Morel at 3:37, her first jump of the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit, and
not a bad effort.
Yeah, coming down on the body again.
No, not a bad effort at all. Again, she had a little bit of height there, and height is important. If you've got the height, you can make the little adjustments that you need. It looked like she just didn't quite get deep enough and came down onto the pole. And there's multiple things that you can do with that. I mean, you can move the uprights, which is what the bar sits on, so you can bring them closer or further away. And that can obviously match where your jump's at. But another thing is changing the pole you're on. If you're on a bigger pole, you tend to just go up and down a bit more. A softer pole tends to just go a bit more horizontal. So you don't really want that. You want to be on an up and down pole and have your uprights in the right position.
This is Aria Rhodes again. 3:37, missed the first one, but not by a lot.
Certainly something that she is capable of doing, and she looked like she had a good attempt at the last height with a PB of 3:70. This hopefully will still be quite easy, and she can keep moving up through the heights.
Big deep breath, good crowd filtering in around Federal Street. There's so much happening around this area, this part of Auckland. And this is the centre of the action again, and no problem that time. That is a beautiful clearance from Aria Rhodes at 3:37, and deserves a good old smile and a nod if she has a chat to the coach.
Yeah, that was excellent. I mean, she again had the same height that she had the last attempt, but this time she had it over the bar in the right spot. Look at that. There's definitely daylight between her and the bar there. That's awesome. That's a great start for her for the competition.
Really pleasing effort for the 17-year-old. So Isabella Morel, again, missed at 3:37, but as Liza McCartney said, some little adjustments there. Pretty simply done. Tell you what, this is an Instagram-worthy event, isn't it? There's some good stuff on the gram here with your Huawei P30 Pro.
We have one of our photographers out there on the new phone. And here is Isabella Morel, second attempt.
And gets
much
it
better.
Yeah, gets it nicely. Good job. Just made those minor adjustments that needed to be done. So Isabella Morel and Aria Rhodes both clear at 3:37.
And the next height will be 3:52, and we have Hanna Philpott coming in at 3:52.
Hanna Philpott, the only non-North Shorean, North Shore resident, North Shoreite. She's from the wonderful town of Tauranga. How to say that? But training, of course, with everyone. Yeah, you pinched it, haven't you?
It does tend to happen with pole vault. I mean, we're very lucky to have an incredible facility, the AUT Millennium on the North Shore, but of course that means where most of the pole vaulters in the country have to be to train with Jeremy and work hard in a squad. So that's the way it is, unfortunately, but we are very lucky to have such a great facility there. This is Aria's first attempt at 3.52 metres. This will be a season best for Aria if she can clear it, which would be great.
3.52 metres, Aria Rhodes, and does clear it without a problem. Did it comfortably. Great job.
It's a great start for her. She'll be really happy. I mean, this is the last comp of the season. So, I mean, no better time, really, just to pull it all out and have fun. And usually when you're having fun, you just jump wow.
Yeah, of course, it's been a massive summer of athletics, track and field around the country for these athletes, and this their last one. There's a couple of other events coming for Athletics New Zealand athletes, the Oceania Area and Combined Champs in Townsville in June. It's a bit later, of course, World University Games in Naples in July, and the biggie, the IAAF World Athletics Champs, that's in Doha starting in late September.
So we have Isabella Morel on the runway for her first attempt at 3.52 metres.
Cleared 3:37 on her second attempt. It's just come up short there.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons why an athlete could do that, but obviously it just wasn't feeling quite right for her, so she pulled out. And obviously that with a sport like pole vault, you need to be a little bit safe like that. But she'll be talking to Jeremy McCall, the coach, and they'll be working out just the little adjustments that needs to be made for the next jump.
Do you take more precaution in an event like this where it is quite unique? There's not a lot of room for error either side of the runway or the mats?
I mean, it's not so different because at the other end where the mats are, there's still a bit of space, and if you were to come down back onto the track, there's enough area around there before that drops down to the ground. So you don't really have to worry too much about it, but it certainly changes your adrenaline and probably the poles that you'll be on because you've just got a bit more energy in these sort of circumstances.
Here's Hanna Philpott, the 21-year-old from Tauranga. She's got a personal best of 3.9. She's fourth at the Nationals recently, coming in for her first jump at 3.52 metres. Oh, and she's short as well. So 2 in a row in her first jump. And just looking over it, you can't quite see him at the shot, but down in there is Jeremy McCall, the coach, just giving some instructions to each of these athletes.
Yeah, and so after every jump, most athletes will just have a quick little word with the coach and just make sure that they're on the same page, they know what they need to do next. Any little things that Jeremy's seen, often he's filming it so he can just slow it down and have a quick look. One of the most important things actually is the foot and where you take off from. That needs to be very precise, and if you're just a little bit out, it will completely change your jump. And that's quite a big reason for why athletes will pull out of a jump like Isabella and Hanna have just done, but it's an easy adjustment.
We are well into the thick of it now here at the Huawei P30 Vertical Pursuit, downtown Auckland, Federal Street. This live stream available Athletics New Zealand and on the Huawei and Sky City Facebook pages as well, so you can catch us all over the place. Ricky Swanell and Eliza Cartney alongside me. Of course, Eliza, people are probably wondering why you're not actually out there. How far away are you from getting back?
Not far. I've been out with a hamstring injury the last few weeks, and I'm probably still a couple of weeks away from vaulting, but when I'm back vaulting, I should be at 100%. So not too far away, but unfortunately I have missed the tail end of the season here. So this is Isabella Morel's second attempt at 3.52 metres.
Just pulled out on her first attempt. So, and overshot the runway effectively there. What went wrong there?
I mean, there's, again, many reasons why an athlete will run through. I mean, it's never a great way to go because you don't get any feedback. You don't know where your foot was. You didn't get any feedback on how the pole reacted, so it's not great. But some things like if you get a gust of wind in the wrong direction, or if, there's so many reasons why you just don't feel right to jump. And it's, as I said before, sometimes it can be safer just to leave it be and get ready for the next one. But that means she's coming up to a third attempt. And third attempt, you have good adrenaline, and you never know. Some people clear some massive heights on their third attempts.
Right, Hanna Philpott. She was also pulled up from her first attempt at 3:52. This is her opening height, so second jump for Hanna Philpott.
Just needs to finish a swing on this one. The last one looked actually pretty good. First attempt can be a bit hard when you've sat down for a while.
Much better. Oh,
There we
cleared
go.
it with ease. Plenty of room to move.
Very easy, and that's really great to see because she has got a lot of potential, Hannah. She's just had a bit of a rough season where it hasn't gone not quite as well as she might have wanted, with a season best of 377. But her PB is 390, and there's no reason why she can't get near that today.
Does that just happen sometimes, that you just go through a patch where you can't quite get it together and maybe things snowball a bit and it's like, just trying to get there?
I mean, absolutely. Plenty of athletes will have a whole season where they just don't get it together, and it's just really frustrating when that happens because you feel well and you feel fit, but just for some reason you're not pulling it out in the competitions, and of course that's when it matters. But often you come back from those seasons and you just have a monster next season, which is really great, and it kind of makes up for it, but it's never fun at the time.
Really big jump here for Isabella Morel. See everybody in supporting her as well. Great to see this camaraderie between the athletes. Needs this at 3:52. Has missed twice. This time, no problem. That's great work. What fight back, hey?
That was
Isabella
awesome.
Morel.
And that was an easy clearance as well. There was certainly room there. If we look at the replay again, you'll see there's a lot of space. She hit it hard. She just went for it. There was no holding back on that jump. She fully committed, which is just perfect.
Oh, you love seeing the smile on
Yes.
the way down. Absolutely.
She's had an amazing season this year, actually, Isabella Morel. She jumped a new PB of 371, and she's an Australian athlete. Before she came to train with us a couple of years ago, her PB was actually only 330. So she's had a monster improve, which is really great to see. And there's no reason as well. I mean, great conditions today. With the adrenaline that you get in these sorts of competitions, no reason why any of the athletes can't jump high.
Aria Rhodes, who started us off, the youngest athlete in the competition, just 17 years old. She started at 322 and hasn't had too many problems since. Now up they go. 3.67.
This is very close to her PB, which is 370. I mean, 3 centimetres is hardly much of a difference in pole vault, so it'll be a good jump to clear this.
Rhodes, 3.67. Oh, just caught that knee on the way down.
Not bad though, not a bad effort for the first attempt. Even something like going up a pole can just give you that little bit of extra height, but of course she'll be talking to Jeremy, just making sure that they make the right adjustment for the next jump. But she's got 2 more attempts to clear that, and that was not a bad start. Not bad for the very first attempt.
How do you mean by going up a pole?
Yes, so I know I throw around this terminology and I should be careful.
No, that's what we're all here to learn about it as well.
So an athlete can use any pole they like. There is no limitation on the size, on the stiffness, on the length, on the material. All of that is up to the athlete. And so, yes, you could use a bamboo pole if you wanted to, but of course that's not going to get the highest. So everybody's on either carbon or fiberglass poles, and they range in the length and the stiffness. And so most of these athletes will not change length poles in this competition. They, you stick to a length in the competition, but they will go up stiffness and pole. And usually as the competition goes on, the adrenaline kicks in and you're getting to higher heights, you need to be on a bigger pole. And you can handle a bigger pole, a stiffer pole, because you can put more energy into it, and then it gives you more energy at the top and you can jump higher.
Excellent explanation.
So when you go up a pole, you're going up in stiffness essentially. And so as long as you can match the same energy as the time before, then the pole will just give you that little bit extra at the top.
There's Isabella Morel at 3.67 metres, cleared on her third attempt at 3.52. This is her first at 3.67.
Oh, not a bad effort. It's good to see a full jump there. Really attempting it, going as hard as you can. You can see she's smiling away. She's happy with it. it's not bad considering how close it is to her PB as well, which is 3.71. So only 4 centimetres. It's a very small amount in pole vault. It's quite different from high jump where those are big increments, but pole vault, a few centimetres. If you've done it before, you should be able to do it again, which is great to see. This 3.67 so close to so many people's PBs, and then the 3.77 will be PBs for a couple of them. So that's a really great position for these increments to be going through.
Going up in increments of 10 centimetres at a time.
Next up, we'll have Hanna Philpott on the runway with her first attempt at 3.67 metres. She had a really great attempt at her opening height of 3.52. It was an easy clearance, so not really anything needs to change to clear another bar. It was looking really great.
These athletes were out here for a good hour or so beforehand, going through all the different warm-up routines, getting used to the conditions. You can see the trees and the hair fluttering around a little bit, but otherwise perfect. Hanna Philpott, 3.67 metres. Oh, that's a massive clearance.
That was huge. That was even bigger than her last jump, which is so great to see. She's having a really great competition so far. First attempt clearances are always what you want as well, because the medals can be determined by the count back. So essentially, if two athletes clear the same height, they have to look at the height before and see who cleared it first. So if you've cleared it before the athlete that you're competing with, then you win the medal over them.
Yeah, there's different pressures, isn't there? Each jump clearing it first and wanting to nail it straight away, and then you got your second chance, and then you come to that third. I wonder if the mindset of each jump is different, or you try and keep it pretty stable and set the whole way.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of opportunity for a first attempt. You feel like you've got 3 attempts to go. There's not so much to worry about.
Zaria Rhodes' second attempt at 3.67. Oh, and just pulling out a little bit there. Something not quite right for her.
Possibly she's gone up a pole, so gone up in stiffness, and it looked like it was just a bit stiff for her on that one. She was probably, often when you go onto a new pole, so onto a stiffer pole, the first one you hit, it just feels a bit too stiff and it just throws you off a little bit, but actually that's what you need. And so sometimes you just need that first one to be like, okay, no, I got through, I got onto the mats, it's absolutely fine. Ideally you don't have that, but it happens all the time. I've certainly had many competitions where I just feel the first one out, which is not necessarily ideal, but when you're on your first attempt, you've got a little bit of time.
When you're travelling, how many poles would you take to an event at a World Champs or an Olympics?
Well, I would take around 9 or 10 poles with me, and they're, again, same length, but they range in stiffness. So everything from quite a soft pole that I know that if I'm not feeling so good, or if the weather's really bad, then that soft pole I will be able to get through onto the mat, whereas then I've got all the way up to quite stiff poles that the conditions have to be perfect, and I have to be really feeling good in order for me to actually be able to get onto those poles and to get onto the mat and not get rejected back onto the runway.
Plenty to do here at Sky City. Venue partner Sky City hosting this event again. Wonderful partners. Isabella Morel keeps running through.
Second attempt. It was a run through, unfortunately. Not the most ideal way, but there's always reasons that happens. Could have been a gust of wind. I remember last year at this competition there was quite a strong headwind, and that can be quite hard to deal with because you just feel like you're not getting anywhere. You're running, but you're losing your speed, and when your speed is so important for the pole that you're on, whether you get onto the mats or not, then it just makes you've got to play a little bit of a mind game with yourself and overcome that.
Second miss for Isabella Morel at 3.67. Aria Rhodes has had 2 as well, and here she is at her third attempt. Big, deep breath.
Very close to her PB.
Must get this to stay in the competition, Aria Rhodes. Oh, it's close, but not close enough. The pole comes down, bar comes down, and that's Aria Rhodes out, failing at 3 attempts at 3.67, but an otherwise really good day for Aria Rhodes, the 17-year-old.
3.52. That is a season best for her, so really not a bad way at all to finish off the competitions of the year.
Yeah, and she cleared that 3.52 really easily as well. So while she'll be disappointed, I'm sure, to miss out at 3.67, it's a good way to finish.
And of course, all of these athletes train together, myself included. We all train together at the Millennium with Jeremy McCall, so we all know each other very well. We spend every day together as is. So there's a lot of support for the athlete that's on the runway. Everybody's cheering them on, wanting them to do well.
As we're just getting the bar put back in place after that miss. We've had Hanna Philpott clear at 3.67. We've still got 2 women to come into the competition as well. Imogen Eris and Olivia Mctaggart yet to jump, but it's all on this woman up next in the light blue top. Isabella Morel at 3.67 has also had a couple of misses. She's spraying the bar. Is that for a bit of grip or?
Yeah, so most of the athletes that you see today will be using this exact same grip. So they've got a black tape that is a little bit sticky and adhesive already, and then they spray an adhesive spray on it, which just makes it even more sticky, which is exactly what I do as well. So you've got as you see, her hand is black, and that's just from the tape really, but it gives you a good sticky grip.
Isabella Morel, 3.67, has missed twice, needs to clear this to stay in, and has run through again. Just not quite right at that height for it.
It's an unfortunate way to finish the competition, but it is the last one of the year, and it's a great one just to have fun at and enjoy it. And 3:52 is not a bad way to end it off. It's quite late in the season for these athletes to still be competing. It's usually by April we're kind of finished, and it's getting a bit colder as well, which is not what we're used to while competing. So they've done well to handle such a long season this year.
So for the likes of Aria and Isabella, what will be next for them? What will be their focus through winter?
Well, mainly when you're at that slightly lower level, the winters are so important because there's such a great time to develop your strength, develop your technique, your speed, all of those things. And so usually you come out of a good, solid winter of training feeling really strong and fit and have made some really good technical improvements. And that's so key when you're starting off your career.
Big jump up here for Hanna Philpott, cleared 3.67 with absolute ease, and now it goes up to 3.77 metres. Her first attempt at this height.
Also at this height we'll have Imogen Eris coming in next.
First attempt at 3.77 for Hanna Philpott. No problem at all. Gee, she's jumping with ease at the moment, making it look simple as you like.
She's having a great competition, and she's actually on a slightly longer run up today of 12 steps, which is, I think she's been doing 10 steps throughout the season, so this is just that little bit longer, which means that she can get on slightly longer poles. Hanna is on 14-foot poles, and we all talk about them in feet because they're made in America, but 14-foot, 430 poles for Hanna.
The first time that we get to see 19-year-old from where else? The North Shore. Imogen Eris comes from a gymnastics background. The New Zealand junior champion with a personal best of 4.20 metres. Now coming in at 3.77, Imogen Eris, her first attempt. Oh, and it has plenty of air, plenty of room in there. Great start.
A lot of height, which is great to see. She looked like she almost hit that on the way down, but she did really well. Good bar awareness to get around that and declare, as we see in the replay, massive height, and just got herself out of the way of the bar, which is what you need. You need good bar awareness. So that's great to see. Great start for her into the competition.
Really starting to get right into this competition now. Here at Sky City, the Huawei P30 vertical challenge, vertical pursuit rather, and that's what it's possible for thanks to Huawei. And keep an eye on Athletics New Zealand Instagram and Facebook for photos taken on the new Huawei P30. It's quite the fancy phone with quite the fancy camera, and we are grateful for their support to make events like this happen. Without sponsors like that to be here and have people bopping in the background as the DJ Raises music, good crowd sitting in the bars and restaurants here down at Sky City as we get ready to see Hanna Philpott again. 3.77.
On the runway, and just pulled out there, so she hasn't passed 0. And the 0 is where the back of the box is where you plant the pole, which means that she can go back and finish her attempt because she hasn't technically attempted it yet. So she will have a certain amount of time.
It's 3.87. I was wrong, you were right. Should listen to the expert.
3.87 metres. First attempt at 3.87 metres. So because she is one of 2 competitors at the moment, I believe she'll have around 2 minutes, so a little bit longer than she did at the beginning, so she can just kind of collect herself again, prepare herself again, and go. Still on the first attempt.
She goes again. The little hop and down the runway, down Federal Street. Hanna Philpott at 3.87 and has got that a bit tangled.
That looked like she took off really close. We might be able to see in the if there was a replay, but it looked like she took off really close, which meant she just got completely sucked underneath the pole. She couldn't put all the energy into the pole properly, and it rejected her back. So that's not ideal, but usually that's an easy fix. If it is something like being too close on takeoff, she can move her runway back.
Too close to
the mat. Yes. So she needs, if that is the case, she'll just move it back half a foot, even a foot, depends how far back it was. That's what Jeremy's amazing at. He can see exactly where she took off and exactly how far back she needs to go.
Imogen Eris, 3.87.
First attempt down the runway. Here she goes.
High knees striding down this runway and a beautiful clearance. Fabulous work. Great jump.
Lovely jump. That's really great to see. Again, it looked very similar to her first jump. She had amazing height, which is showing great potential for the competition today, and just had to sneak herself down around the bar so that she didn't hit it on the way down. But as we see, amazing height. Just got around it in time. Good bar awareness. That's exactly what you want.
So Imogen Eris, the New Zealand junior champion, clears 3.87 metres. See a couple of the guys getting ready too. Nick Southgate.
Both Olivia Mctaggart and James Stain all dressed up in their warm gear, waiting until they need to start warming up again, or before they are ready to go onto the runway. But the next height, so we are at 3.87 metres at the moment, but 3.97 is when Olivia will come in. So she'll be getting ready to come in, because as soon as Hanna clears this height, then it will be moving on to 3.97 where she starts.
Yeah, it is cool. It's cool in the shade. It's a beautiful day.
It is a lovely day. We're very lucky. It rained all of yesterday.
Horrible yesterday here in Auckland.
It was a bit of a worry, really, but tailwind and sun, you can't ask for more with pole vault.
So Hanna Philpott missed the first at 3.87. Imogen Eris has gone over at that height. Big vault here. Hanna Philpott.
Is getting very close to her PB, 3 centimetres away from it. Much better attempt. There we go. That was much, much better. Great to see. Her foot was in the right spot that time. Much better reaction from the pole, and she was able to clear it. But she's just monstering heights today.
Yeah, she will get a chance at a new PB, having cleared that 3.87 relatively comfortably. Missed the first time round, but as Eliza said, little adjustments is all it is. And a wee shake of the head, but it was good work from Hanna Philpott.
And that, of course, 3.87 metres is a season best for Hanna, which is really great. She hasn't had the best season, I'm sure she would acknowledge as well. She's had some good comps, but to get a season best on the last one is awesome. That is just exactly how you want to go.
So now the bar will be moved up again. 3.97 metres for the 3 women in the competition. Still going. Hanna Philpott there. She came in earlier on. Imogen Eris, and we'll see for the first time Olivia Mctaggart as well, as the officials get everything in place. And of course we thank the officials from Athletics Auckland running the competition and dedicating a lot of time to ensure the success of this event. doesn't happen without them.
Absolutely not. And I think we've got somewhere near 11 officials out there today. So there's a lot of people who've come out here on their Saturday morning to help us out. So we are incredibly grateful to the officials from Athletics Auckland.
Of course, the difficulty for Hanna Philpott means she's the one that has to go again.
Yes, following herself, it's not easy. But consecutive jumps, I think it's about 3 minutes she'll get. So once the bar's up, she has a little bit of time just to relax. But I mean, she came in 4 heights ago. So that is quite a lot. She's powering through these heights. I mean, I suppose if she had known she was going to do so well, she might have come in a bit later and been able to save energy. But of course, you don't know these things. So she's doing incredibly well to keep clearing the bar so well when she's had quite a few jumps under her belt already.
Yeah, it's not just the physical, the mental as well. And quickly, in an event like this with smaller field, obviously, and it's a quick turnaround, away you go again. And here comes Hanna Philpott again at 3.97 metres. This will be big PB if she can get it.
Nice takeoff. Oh, not bad. That looked like the pole was slightly soft. And what I mean by that is that she flew towards the bar, and when that happens, it's because you just don't get the up from the pole because you've just blown it through. I don't even know how else to describe it, which is really good. That's a great thing because it means you can go on to the next pole.
You want to go up instead of forward.
So on your first attempt to blow through a pole is really not a bad outcome. You've got 2 more attempts to be up on the next pole up, the stiffer pole up, and that will get you higher. That will get you higher as long as you put in the exact same energy. So that's not a bad start for Hanna, especially at the PB to blow through first attempt.
Imogen Eris, the New Zealand Junior champion, second at the National Champs just a couple of weeks ago. Her first attempt at 3.97 metres. She's got a personal best of 4.2. Steely focused.
She's ready. She's absolutely ready. She's cleared around these heights from almost every competition this season. So it should be one that she can do. She should be feeling pretty capable, pretty ready, pretty strong, just to attack it.
Yeah, a lot of focus. There's a lot going on around music and your teammates standing nearby. I was just about to say, a lot of paparazzi, the amateur kind, all getting their photos. Here she goes. Oh, height. She got the height.
She did. She got the height again, but again, she just came down on it. She's had great height today. Every single jump, great height, but every single jump, she's just been that little bit short and has had to maneuver herself around the bar, and unfortunately on that one, she just couldn't quite do it.
She's got a gymnastics background, as many in the sport do, able to maneuver around it that much.
Yeah, about half of the team that you see here today, half of the athletes, have come from athletics background. There's only probably about 50-50 now. I'm certainly not somebody who's come from a gymnastics background, so I have had to learn gymnastics. Everything I know is from what Jeremy's taught me, so it's not necessarily the prettiest, but Olivia is another one that has had a gymnastics background.
Here is Olivia Mctaggart, the national champion this year, fifth at the Junior Worlds in 2017, and of course representing New Zealand at the Commonwealth Games last year. He's the favourite for this competition, with Eliza out sitting beside me. Olivia Mctaggart, first time we've seen her today.
3.97 is a nice and easy opening height as far as her season's gone so far. It's been a pretty standard height for her to come in at, so there shouldn't be anything tricky about it as long as she's feeling good and she's got the wind behind her, feeling ready, and she is.
Ready to go. Olivia Mctaggart, the favourite, enters the competition for the first time at a height of 3.97 metres, and it wobbles. It was a big intake of breath, and I think she knows it as well.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Very similar to Imogen's last jump. Same thing, beautiful height. I mean, there's no difficulty with height today, which is what you need, of course, but yeah, just short, came up short and came down on the bar, but it stayed up, which is just awesome. Way, look at that. That was excellent.
It was a great shot, looking straight up and over as Olivia Mctaggart makes a good entry into this competition. Well, she has got some big goals. I'd love to see her hit a World Championship qualifying mark here today. 4.56 metres will get her on the plane to Doha. Was her brother there?
That
I
was
just
her
saw
brother,
Cameron,
Cam Mctaggart.
weightlifter at the Commonwealth Games last year.
Yeah, both of them at the Commonwealth Games representing New Zealand, of course Olivia in pole vault and Cam in weightlifting, so it was great to have that brother-sister joy there.
Gosh, it was just on a year ago.
It is actually. I think it's today.
That you came home with the medal?
Yeah, Olivia as well. We jumped exactly a year ago today. Here's Hanna, second attempt at 3.97 metres. Massive PB if she can get it.
Oh, just a little short again, pulling out. The kids in the back, can see the agony as well.
Oh, it wasn't too bad. I mean, she's just getting comfortable with the pole, I think. Everything looked okay, but she wasn't quite ready for it. But that's okay because she's got one more attempt. And as I said previously, on your last attempt, often people pull out massive heights then because you've just got so much adrenaline because you have to do it right there and then. You've got no more choices left. And we've seen today she's capable of jumping 3.97, absolutely.
It is a big jump, isn't it, though, to go from 3.87 up 10 centimetres when your PB is a little bit lower than that. It's a big mental one as well. Imogen Eris also missed at 3.97. Here's her second attempt, and this time
much better attempt. She had that little bit more depth this time, so same height as last jump, but she just got a little bit more depth, which meant that she was able to get around that bar without having to manoeuvre too much, which is good.
Here it is.
Really nice. She had a lot of space there.
You see at the top to it, it's quite a good shove to get the pole away and give that last little bit to get yourself over by the look.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can, you want to push as much as you can off the top of the pole and just get as much as you can from it. It should give you, if you hit the timing right, a bit of a pop, all the energy where you've bent the pole and it unbends. If you're at the very top of the pole at that point and you're pushing at that point, obviously you're going to get as much energy as you can, pushing yourself up and over the bar. Exactly what you need in pole vault.
Speaking of the Commonwealth Games, a very tall figure at the back of that shot, the chef de mission of the New Zealand team, Rob Waddell, down here at Federal Street for the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit. He's always out and about supporting these events around the place and supporting New Zealand athletes. It's awesome to see.
So we have Hanna Philpott on the runway for her third attempt at 3.97 metres. Her PB is 3.90 metres from a couple years back, or last year I believe, so this will be great to clear on the last competition of the season for these athletes.
Crowd getting in to support her as well. She's had a great competition, cleared some heights with ease. Hanna Philpott, and now 3.97, looking for a personal best jump here.
Off she goes down the runway, strong and fast. Good. Oh no, that was a good takeoff. That was a really great takeoff. Just didn't quite finish it off.
Well, disappointing end, but it's been a great competition for Hanna Philpott. As Eliza said, she cleared some of those earlier heights, 3.87, 3.77 with no problem. So good signs, a good way to finish out a difficult season for Hanna Philpott.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great season best for her, and I'm sure once the frustration of the last height goes, you are happy usually, but that's a problem with events like pole vault, and there's a couple other events in athletics like that where you almost always end the competition on a failure, no matter how great the competition was. So unfortunately that's the way our sport goes. I mean, you can opt to pull out after you've cleared a height and finish the comp then, but nobody wants to do that most of the time. So unfortunately that's the way it is, but I'm hoping tonight she will be very happy with her 3.87 metres.
There's just two athletes remaining in the women's competition, and the bar moves up again 10 centimetre increments at a time, and so we go up to 4.07. Imogen Eris and Olivia Mctaggart, the two athletes remaining. So this will be Eris' first attempt at 4.07.
This will be a season best for Eris if she can get it.
Good power coming down the runway, but not quite enough.
No, she was a little bit under on that takeoff, and as soon as she started swinging, she just didn't have the depth needed to get around the bar, unfortunately. But she'll be making little adjustments from what Jeremy has picked up from that jump into the second attempt. She's still got two more attempts. It's plenty of time. This will be a season best for her, so a little bit of nerves, but I'm sure she's feeling well and truly ready because she's right into the competition now.
Just another of these amazing young athletes coming through the sport, this talent pool and crop that Jeremy McCole is nurturing on the North Shore. And you know, we mention him a lot, but I mean, he has really nurtured the sport, this event, through from nothing really.
Absolutely. I mean, there was almost no pole vault in New Zealand. And when I say that, of course there was a couple of people pole vaulting around the country, but Jeremy was the first one to really pull together a squad, put all the resources in needed. He did it all himself for many years. He bought the poles, he bought the equipment. It's quite phenomenal how lucky we are to have such a determined and passionate person in our sport, and is really why we can pursue pole vault in New Zealand as a world-class athlete. And it's just proof. All of these are his athletes.
Here is one of the best too. Olivia Mctaggart, first attempt at 4.07. Should be able to... I've jinxed her there terribly. That's the commentator's curse.
That wasn't a great takeoff from her. It looked like she was just a little bit under. And as the competition goes on, you get more adrenaline. That does happen. You just run yourself under, and it's just because you've got so excited, you just run faster and you just get a little bit too close, and that does happen, and that's okay, because usually it's an easy fix. You just move back on the runway. But other than that, there's no reason why she shouldn't clear it today, and she's looking great. Really nice first attempt at 3.97 metres, her opening height.
Second attempt for Imagineris at 4.07. Away she goes down the Federal Street runway into the sun.
Much better takeoff. Oh no, she's got a little bit caught up in it there. Looked like a better jump than the last one, which is good.
It looked like the knee caught it on the way down.
Ow, that always hurts a little bit, I have to say. Sometimes you come down the bar so hard and the next day you've got bruises all up your shin. And it's not nice, obviously.
Imagine. For those of us who are a bit of a scaredy cat, I look at this and I think, gosh, are there moments of fear when you're trying new things and I guess trusting your coach and trusting yourself and your equipment?
Yeah, you have to have a lot of self-belief and a lot of self-confidence. And yes, there can be scary moments when you're moving onto a new pole for the first time, and it's the stiffest pole you've ever used and you've never jumped on it before. There's always a little bit of nerves with that sort of thing, but I mean, the best way to do that is to battle it in competition when you've got the most adrenaline and you're feeling as ready as you can be.
Jumped first
Jake
today, and we had a chat before. It was pretty exciting to be in an environment like this,
the youngest in
wasn't
the
it?
competition.
It's something really fun and something that I've aspired to be in for a long time. So yeah, it's really, really exciting.
And now let's talk about your career. Give us a bit of a background. Why'd you start, and how'd you start?
I started in gymnastics like a few of the others, and I kind of just got bored of gym and I moved on to athletics, and I saw them jumping, and it was definitely like amazing. And I saw it was the year Eliza started at the Olympics, so yeah, I was definitely inspiring to like just jump. Yeah.
I think a lot of us around here are pretty scared when we see someone jump like that. Is it scary for you guys?
You get used to it. I think that's the fun part, to be honest. Yeah.
And now moving forward for you, what's the goals and aspirations you have in the sport?
Well, we've got a solid winter season coming up, and kind of just want to qualify, maybe aim for World Juniors in a few years. So yeah.
Well, good luck, Aria. It's been fantastic to see you today, and good luck with a career that's emanating.
Great to hear from Aria Rhodes as Imagineris gets ready for her third attempt at 4.07. Waiting to get set here, making sure everything is absolutely perfect. Sorting a problem with the bar, are we? Well, gives us time to make a note to any athlete who wants to move into commentary. It always helps to bring your co-commentator treats. And I can say that Eliza McCartney has brought in the most incredible batch of ginger crunch I have ever tasted.
Of course you would say that.
I have ever tasted. This is excellent news for everyone here. There's that much we can probably go out and offer them to all the people who come down here to Federal Street and the Sky City to watch this event.
Here we have Imagineris, third attempt.
Gets it this time at 4.07, and isn't she thrilled as well? Why not? And that pressure on at the third attempt, and she nails it.
That was a really great jump, and that is a season best for Imagineris, which is really great for her. No better way to end the season.
What adjustments did she make to do this one so well this time?
I mean, there could be many factors. I think she's probably stayed on the same pole that she was on. But if you just see here, she just talked to the officials. And what she'll be telling them is she wants to change her uprights. It's basically the only thing that an athlete would be saying at that point. So I don't know what they are on or what she's moving them to, but what the bar sits on, you can move those back and forth to how you want them. And even something as simple as moving those uprights can completely change whether you clear the jump or not. Stops you coming down on it.
Helpful, yes. Right, Olivia Mctaggart, 4:07, second attempt. Crowd getting in as well for the New Zealand national champion. Mctaggart missed her first attempt, and this time there's daylight between her and the bar. No problem at all. Mctaggart over at 4:07.
That was a beautiful jump. Lots of height, as we see in this replay coming up. She's on a good long 16-step run up. Lovely jump. There was a lot of height on that. That is exciting for today. It's exactly what we need to see from her today.
We would be so thrilled if this young woman can secure a world championship qualifying jump today. Still a little bit of a way to go, but good signs for Olivia Mctaggart.
Absolutely. So we see Nicola Southgate here is warming himself up, keeping himself still warm because he has to wait a long time. Obviously, as he comes in a lot later, all of the men do. They have to stay calm, keep doing a few drills, keep themselves warm so that they're ready to go when the bar gets to their height. But it's not that easy. I've been in competitions where I've had to wait many hours before I can start.
Yeah, the guys warming up. Well, everyone was warming up a long time ago now. Going for 3/4 of an hour into this Huawei Vertical Pursuit. Athletics New Zealand, and congratulations to them for this innovation. So it's great to see, and we were saying earlier that you're starting to see this around the world. Street events are becoming the thing.
Absolutely. They've always been, well, as long as I have jumped, there's been quite a lot of these competitions in Europe, but they're great fun. They get the crowd involved. I've actually jumped my PB at a similar type one. It was on a track, but the crowd were around the track. Very similar to this, and that's what my current PB is. So they're great competitions, and of course.
Big fan.
Absolutely.
All right, Imogen Eris at 4.17 metres, first attempt.
This is a big height for her, 3 centimetres under her PB.
Charging down the Federal
Nice.
Street runway, and it looked good initially.
It did. That was not a bad takeoff, but again, bit of a similar thing for Imogen today. She just came down on it. That was good height for this bar for her, but yeah, she just came down onto it. So she will adjust a couple of things going into the next jump. She might adjust her upright. She might adjust her foot where she takes off from. But that we often leave down to Jeremy because he has the amazing eye and he can see everything. Of course we feel what's going on, but having a bit of an external cue is great because we can't see where we've taken off from, and that's a big part for us where we take off. That changes how the pole reacts. If you're too close, the pole will spit you out. If you're too far away, you don't get into the mats enough. So you have to be very precise, and I'm speaking between, you don't want to vary much than 10 centimetres. So it's not an easy feat as Olivia is standing there. She's 16 steps today, which will probably be around 30 metres, even a bit further back than 30 metres on the runway. So you need to be consistent.
Really, really fine margins in this sport as Olivia Mctaggart makes her first attempt at 4.17 metres.
Nice jump.
Great jump. Good form from Olivia Mctaggart.
She's looking really great today. That was a beautiful jump. Very easy, as we would hope at these heights, so it's great to see she's having a good day today. In this replay, you'll see that she has lovely height over it. Let go of the pole nice and early. Nothing could touch that bar. She was well and truly clear.
When you're coming down at pace like that and you're obviously wanting to, you plant your pole in that box right at the edge of the map, what are you trying to sight? It must be a very quick glimpse down to look for it too.
I mean, I think every athlete's different, but as I'm running down the runway, I stare at that box the whole way. I'm pretty sure that's what I do. It's hard to kind of recollect, but I stare at that box the whole way, and so as soon as I plant, I've got my eyes on that box. But here we have Imogen Eris at her second attempt at 4.17 metres, which will be a season's best, 3 centimetres under her PB.
So your teammates behind, crowd urging Imogen Eris on. 4.17. Oh, the bar wobbles and off it comes.
Oh, that was so close. It was not a bad attempt whatsoever. Again, had the height. I can't stress this enough. Some days you just don't have the height, but all of these guys today, all of the girls that have jumped so far, they've just had great height, which is, you just have to make little other adjustments. But as you can see, she's got that today. She might just need to change something slightly.
It's terribly close. So she's going to have to quickly get back to it, and this is what we were talking about earlier. There's nobody in between, so Imogen Eris, what goes through the mind as you're coming back for this third attempt?
I mean, I've always got quite excited, nervous energy at this point, and what I do, which I notice not many other athletes do, but something that I do that helps me is I have a little diary, a little notebook where I jot down notes, and that just kind of helps me clear my head from the last jump. Makes me sit down and just calm a little bit before getting into the next one. So every height I will write down whether I cleared or missed it on the attempt, and the pole I was on, and also the uprights that the bar was on, because all of those things we often go back to and look at what height I was on what pole and what that meant. So that can be quite valuable information, and I would forget if I did not write it down within the minute of finishing it. So that's something I do, but other athletes might grab drink of water, a bit of snack, and just try and stay a little bit calm, because as I said, third attempts are nerve-wracking situations, but good adrenaline.
Imogen Eris, New Zealand junior champion. It's the adhesive spray onto the pole. Southgate wandering around. He's not far from action soon. This is a big jump for this young lady.
She can just take her time. Only one left at this height, and she'll have about 3 minutes as a consecutive jump. It'll be great to get a season's best. She's named in the Oceania Championships in a couple months, so anything improvement from this season will be great leading into that competition. Good tailwind, big tailwind behind her. She's going to have a lot of speed. She's talking to herself, she's pumping herself up, she's ready for this last attempt.
4.17 metres, last attempt for Imogen Eris. Can she do it this time? Yes!
Amazing, that was a great jump. Really great jump. She will be so happy with that. And not only a great season's best, but so close to her PB.
Oh, and look at the smile on her face. Absolutely nailed it.
That was a great jump. Just looking at the replay, that was beautiful. There was nothing near that bar, which is really good effort when you're that close to your PB. I mean, when I jumped my PB of 4.94 metres, I certainly hit that bar. And it wobbled a bit, but it stayed up. So to clear something so close to your PB like that is just great.
Wow. What about, look at the great support from Mctaggart as well. Talk about clutch, though. That's the last two heights. Imogen Eris has cleared them on her third attempt, coming up big. And now attempting a personal best next height out. We move up to 4.27 metres for Imogen Eris and Olivia Mctaggart.
Good competition between these girls today, both over 4.17, which is just great to see. I don't think they'll mind me saying, but I think there was a little bit of a bet on if someone didn't clear 4.1 metres, so they're both clear of that, so we don't even need to mention. But I believe it was a form of a haircut, which I don't think either of them wanted, so it's lovely to see that both of them are jumping so well today.
That is a brave bet. They must have both been pretty confident if they're putting haircuts on the line.
Exactly, and I think Imogen will be a bit relieved at this point, just because, you know, it's a season best, it's so close to her PB. You don't have anything to lose at this point. You know, you just got to keep jumping, and only better things can happen. So it's a little bit of relief when you get to that point where you just know you've achieved a lot already. Obviously, a PB would be outstanding though.
So her personal best is 4.2. This 7 centimetres higher than that. Big jump ahead here for Imogen Eris, but she's shown a real fortitude to clear the last two heights on her third attempt. Again, you can see that wind gusting straight down Federal Street here in the heart of Auckland City. And Imogen Eris ready to go. Her first attempt at 4.27 metres.
Massive PB if she can get this.
Oh, just hit it there with the foot. Not quite
There on that first one, but 2 more attempts to go. She'll have a little bit of time now to rest because Olivia will be doing her first attempt at this height now. So there's a little bit of a break for Imogen. Good to have competition in that sense.
Yeah. You talk about the competition and we can see the great camaraderie and teamwork, but are you pushing each other along as well and really to go to that next level when you're in training and then you're heading away?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always a really positive camaraderie, but I mean, having somebody near the same heights as you, I think it's just a really positive thing. It helps both the athletes out to have somebody to train with at the similar heights, but also in competition to jump with somebody is really awesome, because it can be really tough when you're just jumping by yourself. Not only because you're having to wait between jumps and you don't have a lot of time between jumps, you have to recover quickly, but also just to compete with somebody. Sometimes it just gives you a bit more adrenaline and just a bit, you just fight that little bit harder sometimes. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Olivia Mctaggart ready for her first attempt at 4.27 metres, strides down the makeshift runway and runs through, loses the pole in the process.
It looked like there might have been a headwind on that last jump, same as Imogen, which just makes it a bit tricky when you've been dealing with the tailwind up until that point. So could just be something minor and just move on to the next attempt, not worry too much about it.
So that counts as an attempt for her?
Yes, so if you run onto the mats in front of where you plant the pole, you've passed 0, and so that is an attempt. Whereas if she had managed to stop her run before then and not gone past the 0 mark where the box is, then she would still be in her attempt. So you can try, sometimes you can't, you have a bit too much speed and you just have to keep running onto the mat, which is unfortunate, but 2 more attempts to go.
Tense focus for Imogen Eris. But a little mutters words of encouragement to herself. Always the best conversation, I think, when you're having a yarn to yourself.
Absolutely. I get asked about that all the time, but you're just saying things that will help you in that moment.
We saw the word focus muttered there. Imogen Eris, 4.27 metres, second attempt.
Nice takeoff. Oh, that was a beautiful jump. That was really great. Beautiful height, which is just outstanding at a new height, a new PB for Imogen.
Right. There's a smile on her face because I think she knows she was pretty close there.
Look at that. That was not bad at all. If anything, maybe if her uprights were just that little bit closer, she would have just snuck over. So that's just so promising to see, and as I said, she's not really got a whole lot to lose right now.
Yeah,
if she can clear this,
all bonus now. She can
absolutely
clear this. Wow, what a way would be to finish the season for Imogen Eris. Right, on to Olivia Mctaggart. Working that grip. Nick Southgate bopping along, ready to go. I think the guys are quite keen to get into things here.
It's like Hannah's warming down, which is a good effort for an athlete after a competition. Sometimes you really can't be bothered. But
don't listen to that advice. It's always warm down.
But you always do it anyway, even if you can't be bothered.
Because when you're old and broken, you'll be glad to have warmed down.
Absolutely.
Right, Olivia Mctaggart.
There's focus in her eyes. She's ready for this.
4.27 metres. Missed it her first attempt here. Good, strong stride down that runway and just catching that bar on the way through.
Not a bad effort though. It was not a bad jump at all. She just hit it on the way down. She certainly had the space, the height to get over that, but just not quite deep enough. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so she hit it with her arm. So she just didn't quite get herself off the pole in time. It's certainly something I've done a lot, and it's a little bit frustrating because you're over the height and then your arm knocks it off afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there one thing when you do miss that is if you realise that you've done it, that's just the most frustrating?
Absolutely. That one in particular, but even worse than that, I mean, it doesn't matter so much when you get to the higher heights because your pole is shorter than the bar. But when you're at the lower heights and your pole can knock the bar off and that's what hits the bar off, then you're pretty angry at that stage. That's not ideal. But at these higher heights, it's not a problem for these girls. But yeah, a bigger push off the pole from Olivia and she'll be easily clear of that.
Last attempt now and wants some support. Imogen Eris getting the crowd behind her here at Sky City, the Huawei P30 virtual pursuit. Her final attempt at 4.27 metres. looking for a big personal best jump here. The 19-year-old. And the bar wobbled and it fell. And disappointment for Imagineris, but boy, she's produced some big jumps today. The New Zealand junior champion.
Not a bad way to end the comp. That was a great jump. It was definitely her best attempt at 4.27 metres. So that is a really great way to end the competition, and I'm sure she'll be happy with the effort from today. Look at that. That was not too far away. Not too far.
You can see the crowd. Everyone is willing it to stay up there. The best will in the world, though. And it just falls short for Imagineris, who, though, as I said, cleared 4.07 on her third attempt, and then followed that up with 4.17 on her third attempt, just short of a personal best for Imagineris.
Great way to end the season, though, and a few of these athletes, 4 of them actually, including Olivia here, are qualified for the Oceania Champs this year and are named in the team. I believe that's in June, end of June, that competition, and that's a really great one for developing athletes. It's going to mean a lot because God, I can't get into it now, but there's a new ranking system essentially that means that if they jump well at this competition, it's worth a lot of points and it boosts their ranking. Looking ahead actually into 2020.
Which of course is looming on the horizon for many. Olivia Mctaggart.
Last attempt.
Yeah, missed twice at 4.27. James Stain and Nick Southgate just to the left of the runway there.
Getting a clap going.
Yeah. Big crowd have come in. They're wedged at every vantage point, looking down from on high as well as Mctaggart goes for 4.27.
Really nice. Easy clearance as well. Like she's been doing all season, she shows she's capable of these heights and she just clears them so easily, which is really good ahead of the big heights looming ahead of her. And now that she is the only one left in the competition, she will be choosing which height to go to next.
So what would the philosophy be to choose if you're choosing your height? Where does she go from here?
Well, it can go one of two ways. You can play it safe and put in another height that's, you're pretty certain you'll get it, and it will be another warm-up one ahead of what you really want to do. So she might look at something like 435, but she may just go to 440. Which is a pretty good height for her. She can clear 440, she'll be ready for these bigger heights, and then from then she might want to really jump up into the 50s. Oh, and we see here that she's going to 4.47 metres, and that will be a PB, 1 centimetre PB. Her PB is 4.46 metres at the moment. 1 centimetre PB probably is going to make a difference on the ranking. Every little bit counts. But of course, probably the reason that she's gone to 4.47 metres is because Etienne is coming in at that height. Just makes it easy for everybody if you just keep working with it, and it probably works well that it's a PB.
Yeah, so Etienne Dupre, he's going to come in at this height as well. So 2 of them on the runway will also help Olivia a little bit too, meaning she's not necessarily going to have to go one after the other. Oh, in fact, she is 440 they're coming in on.
She will do 440. Oh, I've almost predicted that. That wasn't a bad effort.
Very close.
I mean, she's been clearing the heights so easy, there's no reason just to keep jumping up. And if she clears 440 really easily, she might just go straight to 50, 52 even. Something up there that will make a really big difference. But as you can see, she's really getting to the thick of the competition now. Needs to just stay calm. Keep the adrenaline flowing, but not to a level where you're just a bit shaky. You need to be in control of everything you're doing, and she'll be ready. She'll be so in the thick of the competition right now. She'll be feeling really ready to go and just confident that she's got this.
Olivia Mctaggart steps up onto the runway once more for her first attempt at 4.40 metres. She will be, of course, the women's champion. She's the only women left in the competition. Aria Rhodes, Isabella Morrell, Hanna Philpott, and Imagineris all competed, and so now it's all on Mctaggart, and she looks nice and relaxed, doesn't she? Ready to go. Got the crowd all behind her at 4.40, having just made a great clearance at 4.27. Up she goes. No, she doesn't, and runs through.
Oh dear, first attempt. It can be a bit hard when you've just had a really good jump. You just got to refocus for the next one, and sometimes that first attempt isn't the best jump, and in this case just didn't feel right, pulled out, but 2 more attempts to go. She just needs to stay calm. Just everything that she's been doing up until this point has been really great, so nothing new needs to happen. Just sometimes you need to stop thinking. It's a big thing in pole vault. You just need to stop thinking so much about it and just do it.
Yeah, the mental game is just as great sometimes. Olivia Mctaggart strides back. As you said, there's a lot going on. It must be hard, and particularly in those big stadiums as well, where, as you said earlier, there's lots of different events going on, and there's different noises and different cheers, and you're about to start and all of that, trying to find a balance between enjoying that moment and also trying to keep focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest moments I actually remember was the London Diamond League, which, so it's, you know, it's not a world champs, it's not Olympic Games, but the crowd there was so loud. I couldn't hear Jeremy, I couldn't hear my thoughts, I couldn't concentrate. There was so much going on. So some crowds are just incredibly loud. So this sort of thing, it's not unusual to have a lot of noise, the music in the background, people wandering around, chatting away. You've got to be able to deal with distraction, and in some ways it's almost not distraction, it just fuels your adrenaline. You've just got so much pumping through you that you're just ready and you just focus in. You can see the way that she's staring down that runway. She is absolutely focused. She knows what she needs to do.
Second attempt for Olivia Mctaggart at 4.40 metres. Missed out on the first, but has looked pretty calm and pretty confident so far here at the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit. Here goes Mctaggart.
Nice.
Oh, pole snap.
Oh my goodness. Looks like she's probably okay. Well, she would have got hit hard by that though.
Oh, that's unfortunate. The pole just...
You heard that as well before it even happened. That was a loud bang. As long as her hand's okay, this official here is a doctor, which is fortunate.
Oh, that's helpful.
But it looks like her hand's in one piece, which is important because, oh, well done. That's a really rough thing that does not happen often.
Oh, here it is again. And the rarity and the noise it makes is quite extraordinary, and it was an awkward landing for Mctaggart as well. Jeepers. She's got herself up, and yeah, it's just going to check the hands. She's going to go and have a chat to her coach.
She's lucky to be in one piece. I have personally witnessed people ripping their hand open and their thumb separating away, it can be a lot worse than that. Nicholas Southgate has broken a lot of poles in his time, so it does occasionally happen, but she landed fairly safely on the mat, which isn't too hard to do because you've got that forward momentum, but her hand will be sore.
It looks sore too, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is the second or third pole she's snapped, so it's not a common thing, but it does happen.
And is that from the hand, is that when the pole goes, it's just the slide, how your hand slides down it, or with all that grip on it, or what causes the problem?
I think what it is that your hand is, gripped around the pole, and when it snaps, so much force goes through and so much energy goes through it that your hand kind of gets separated. So you're holding so tight onto something, and suddenly your thumb's being pulled away from your hand a little bit, and it just hurts. Like I remember when I did it, my hand just kind of, it was pins and needles and really sore, and even like I wouldn't be surprised if the pole hit her at some point when it snapped on the back of the head or something. That can happen as well. So,
but usually the fright that comes with it too.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say, usually the best thing you can do is just get on and do another jump straight away. If you're physically, medically fine to keep going, sometimes the best thing to do is just to get on and do the next jump, because that's the best way mentally just to get on. And it looks exactly that's what she's going to do.
Wow, what great grit and determination for Olivia Mctaggart. And I think she just said to herself, yep, I'm going to do this. I'm getting back up there after, first the physical pain, the shock of that pole just snapping and the noise it made echoing around.
I was wondering what that noise was, and then all of a sudden the pole snapped. It was incredible. But yeah, she'll be sore tonight, I'm sure. Just a few bruises and things.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit scary for everyone, isn't it? Everyone needs a bit of a hug from the Sky Tower in tense moments.
Oh, dear. Oh, wow. Well, Livy will be tough, I'm sure. She will get back up and just do it again, because that is just the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, it's the,
Looks like her wrist is a
right
bit
in the wrist
sore.
and in that thumb, isn't
Yes.
it, too?
And people do get little injuries from that sort of thing. I mean, it does happen, but she's snapped a pole before. She knows what she's doing. The best thing for her to do is get into the air again, and that should really help her just move on, because it's not a common thing. The pole, for that to happen, usually needs to be damaged, which obviously you tend to catch that before you try and jump on them.
What does it mean for the competition, though? Is this her third attempt, or do you get another attempt when your pole snaps? Now I'm putting you under a pressure,
Yes.
the officials and the rules.
Okay, so I'm going to say that this is possibly a third attempt. But, sometimes officials, they're there to help you. So it depends how they want to judge it. But she landed on the mat. She's looking quite sore there. Unfortunately, if she's feeling quite sore now with the adrenaline pumping, it's not necessarily the best sign, but some of it's just shock as well. She might just, it feels sore and she's shocked, and that's a hard thing to overcome. But we'll see. She might still do another jump. It will be incredibly impressive if she can. It's not an easy feat. Mentally, let alone if you have physical pain, but mentally it's a tough thing to get yourself back in the air again.
Yeah, just going to take her time, and being given that time to reset and just seeing, what she can do. And of course it starts to get a bit cold and seize up and things like that too. Whether she can continue on here, Olivia Mctaggart, would be a great shame if the snapped pole ends her competition, particularly when she is really hitting some good form. A lot of tension around in the faces of the crowd who've come here to watch too, and I guess it's the rarity of being able to compete at home.
It's the rarity of a pole snap as well. I mean, it's a bit of a shock for everybody, because it happens, but it doesn't. It's a rare thing, but it looks like she's going to give it her best shot to get into the air again, which would be a great feat for her.
This is really gutsy from Olivia Mctaggart. Oh no, she's sore every time she tries to grip that pole in around the wrist and a thumb, and I don't know if she's going to be able to.
Sometimes it's not worth it. You've got a lot. She's got a lot on this year. She's got Oceania Champs, but also the World University Games. Those are big competitions. It'll be her first World Universities, actually her first Oceanias as well. So they're not competitions worth just throwing away. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to make the right decision, but we will see what she decides. Of course, with World Champs, end of the year is a possibility as well. Sometimes it's just better to leave it, but we don't know. We'll see how she's going. She might be capable.
This isn't her last competition where she'll be able to try and get a World Champs qualifying jump by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, absolutely. She's got the time.
Oh, she's determined though, isn't she? She is absolutely determined that she's going to get up and have another go. You can just see the official there to the right with the stopwatch. So because she is the last woman in the competition, she does have a bit more time between vaults, and here she goes again, wants to do this. See if it's mind over matter a little bit, if the body is going to allow. Olivia Mctaggart, here she goes at 4:40. The pole snapped last time. She's injured and she's just a bit uncertain, and I think you can probably understand why.
Oh, she's just asking if that is her third attempt, and
it looks like she got a nod of maybe it wasn't.
Like.
We'll just try and get clarification.
Although the way she's walking back, though, I imagine she's got one more attempt, which is not unsurprising. I mean, the chief judge and the referee is the referee at the competition is the overarching official, and he can decide if she deserves another attempt. So they might have, gone ahead and done that, which is pretty fair.
A little bit of home ground advantage, perhaps, but fair enough.
Good
and so
to get down the runway one more time, so she's, to get the legs ticking over again, that's a good start. So the third attempt should just be that little bit easier to get down that runway, get herself into the air.
So she has 3 minutes now? 3 minutes?
She'll have 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Being the last competitor for the women, she has 5 minutes. She can even get 6 minutes if the officials deem it to be a significant height, but that would be a record of some form, a national record, an area record, that sort of thing. But 5 minutes is a lot of time, though. It doesn't necessarily sound like it, but it is a lot of time to get yourself ready when you're the only one left.
Certainly doesn't look like she'll take all of that 5 minutes allowed to her. Olivia Mctaggart. So remember, she came in at 3.97 and cleared that without a problem. Then 4.07 in her second attempt, 4.17, nailed that on the first, and then took to the third attempt to get a really good clearance. Nicely done at 4.27. And now 440 has proved a challenge. The snapped pole on her second attempt that made quite the loud noise, bang, around Federal Street and echoing around the street, because we are quite enclosed here. And so now she'll have another go, one more. 4.40, doesn't appear to be looking at the thumb and wrist quite as much now.
No. She's a gutsy person. She will not give up, knowing Olivia Mctaggart. She will be doing her best to finish this competition one way or another. Even just getting in the air is a great achievement after this. But she's determined. You can see that in her eyes.
There's a steely look in the eyes of Mctaggart. Here she goes again at 440. Guts and grit and determination.
Nice.
Mctaggart at 440. Oh, just pulled out just a little bit short. But it's been an incredible effort from this young woman, the New Zealand champion.
That was great to see her get in the air and start a rock back. I mean, a rock back being when you swing yourself around and upside down. That was a really great effort, because that's so important after a snap. It just makes it a lot easier for yourself next time round. So even though she didn't clear it, getting back in the air was a great achievement, and unfortunately not the way she probably would have wanted for this competition to go. But considering the circumstances, she didn't do a bad effort.
And she is, of course, the winner of the women's competition.
Absolutely,
The Huawei
she is.
P30 vertical pursuit with a clearance of 4.27. Olivia Mctaggart will take out the women's competition from Imogen Harrison. Gee, there's been plenty of action, that's for sure. Gosh, a lot of shock around the place as well when that pole snapped, but she showed real guts and heart to have another crack. And it's been an excellent season for Olivia Mctaggart, an athlete of fabulous promise, and we cannot wait to watch her over the next few months in an attempt to get to that World Championship qualifying standard.
And even that, looking ahead to Tokyo next year as well, the standards for that are out. And the qualifying standards themselves are not particularly easy, because they're aiming only for the top, the 50% of the field to get in. So the standard is actually 4.7 metres for Tokyo, but on ranking she can get in. So plenty of time looking ahead at these competitions she's got this year to really make her mark and keep improving internationally. But she will be in a bit of pain right now. It will be quite the shock. It's not a nice thing, as you can imagine. It's a bit of hard work, but she'll be able to pull herself back together for the next competitions that are coming up eventually.
There's her brother Cam. And so Olivia Mctaggart, they might give her the Monday off training, I think. After that, the pretty big snap, and certainly, yeah, a little bit sore, but showed some really great heart to stay back out there. Disappointing end, but she will still be pleased enough with the effort, Olivia Mctaggart.
So now we'll be moving into the men of the competition, with Etienne Dupre coming in at 4.47 metres. There's three men. We've got Etienne Dupre, then we've got Nicholas Southgate coming in at 5.07 metres, and then we have James Stain at 5.17 metres.
Now, James Stain, didn't he have a day out in Australia last week? Was a centimetre off one of the longest standing records. New Zealand record is 5.51 metres it is for New Zealand men. That was set firstly in 1992 by Paul Gibbons, and then in 1997 he set the same mark. So it's been around probably longer than some of these athletes have been alive for, but anyway, some of them are very young. But James Stain last week at the Australian Champs.
Isabella Morel and Hanna
Had a great
Philpott, of course, two
Firstly, though,
contestants
we'll go down
today
and hear
here
from Isabella
at the
Morel and
Huawei P30
Hanna Philpott.
vertical pursuit. Two great ones at that. Athleticism on display today was fantastic by you both. Congratulations. But how did it feel to be amongst the environment?
It was so nice to have like a big crowd supporting you, and when everyone's clapping, it's just like the best feeling ever. So we all really appreciate having everyone here and watching. It's a lot of fun.
And what did you think about the arena?
Oh, 100% agree. It's so good. Like having everyone behind you, it just helps. Like with the
And I understand you're actually not from New Zealand originally. Talk about that.
So I'm from Sydney originally, but I kind of feel a little bit more like an Aucklander now. I associate very well with our squad here, and they're all so supportive. Definitely feels like home now.
And now, Hannah, what was your interest in pole vault to get you amongst it?
I just got the opportunity to try it once and absolutely loved it. So carried on with sport, moved up to Auckland because I'm from Tauranga. And yeah, just fell in love with it.
And how long have you, Isabella, how long have you been doing it for?
I've been doing it since I was 14 and I'm 20 now, so about 6 years, but I've only been in Auckland for 2 years.
Aspirations, where do you want to go with this? To the top?
So into the men's
We'll start
competition
where we
now
are
with
and, go
Etienne
from there. I would
Dupre
love
at
possibly go to World Uni Games at some
4.70.
point.
4.7.
What about yourself, Hannah?
What am I going?
Definitely only 4.7.
I've really
There you go.
knocked it
There's
up,
only
haven't
one
I?
way to go. Congratulations on your
4.47
efforts
makes
today.
way more sense. Couldn't read my own writing.
So that was a run through, unfortunately, from Etienne. But he will gather himself. He's been waiting a long time. It's not easy for them, the men and anybody later in the competition. They tend to have to wait quite a while, and it has been a good hour and 20 minutes by the looks of it that they've been sitting around waiting. So the first couple can just be a bit hard. I mean, you're just getting your feet into it, your legs into it, warming yourself up in a way again.
PB is 4.70, and that's what I'd written down. 4.47 will be his first height for Etienne Dupre. Etienne Dupre, Nick Southgate, and James Stain, the three men in this competition. Etienne, the oldest of them, 28. He took up pole vault a couple of years ago. He's a background in a lot of different athletics events, a long jumper and hurdles, competed at a national level. Why not try something else? Add another string to the bow.
Well, he's athletic, that's for sure. I mean, doing things like long jump and sprinting, that's a really good background for pole vault, because a lot of it is the sprinting on the runway. The faster you can run, the more energy that you can put into the pole, and that obviously gives you a bigger pole and you can jump higher. So being fast on the runway is really important, and some of the best athletes, the best pole vaulters, are so good because they're so fast on the runway. So that's a really great background to come from.
Gee, the crowd's really jammed in there now on that side, aren't they, coming out under the Sky Tower. So thank you to Sky City, the venue partner, for again hosting the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit. They've got a whole lot going on in and around Sky City over the next wee while. You might want to join in for the great Easter egg hunt until the end of April the 30th, and you could win one of 5 Sky City experiences, and they're valued at $2,000. All you got to do, find the giant eggs, crack the secret code, drop a completed entry form into the barrel, and you are in the draw. It's all on Sky City's website, skycityauckland.co.nz. So lots happening, of course, and with school holidays as well. Plenty of action around this part of town. I'd imagine if you were just wandering around the city today, or you popped in, or you're a tourist here from overseas, and you thought, oh, we'll go and see the Sky Tower, and then you find this, you might get a bit of a shock. But it's great to see, great for our city here in Auckland and around the country, these events that are happening out in the street. We've seen the great shot put event and things like that down in Christchurch as well.
Absolutely, these COPs are really great, just to get the public more involved and get it, bringing it to the public so that they can see it. It's just easy. It's there at your doorstep.
Yeah, not everyone can find their way into the athletics stadium or realise an event is on, but if it's literally you've gone for lunch and there it is, it's an awesome way, and particularly for lots of the young ones here to watch and think they might like to have a go at that, although I'm not sure that many parents initially would be all that into it.
So Etienne Dupre on the runway, 4.47 metres is the height.
And
nice.
Easy does it, nicely done. Just had to readjust, little clap and a fist pump. He did that, good job. Deep breath and a flutter of the heart.
He's on a slightly shorter run up as well, 12 steps today. So, I mean, to jump high on 12 steps is great. It's really good training in a way to work on those shorter run-ups, because it's just a good chance for technical training.
Do you change the length of your run-up, how many steps, depending on weather or conditions or anything like that?
Not usually. So you usually go into a competition knowing what run-up you're going to do. That's what you want to do. That's what you're going to aim to do. There's a very, very rare occasion where you might decide to do a shorter run-up because of something like the weather. But it doesn't always work out, as I have found. I went to a competition in Europe last year and the conditions were so horrendous that I went to a short run-up, just 10 steps, and from my 14-step run-up and at the opening height on 10-step, I came down into the box and injured myself. That took me out for a few months. So it's not always the best move, but unfortunately that's what it is being an outdoor sport. We do have to battle with the weather a little bit from time to time, but no, you do choose your run up. You choose it. You've got your run up. That's
Based
your
on
long run up.
on your stride length, I guess, or things like that as well.
So you tend to, well, I put it this way, I think 16 steps is a pretty standard long run up for women. A lot of women do 16 step as their full run up. There's hardly any that have done 18 step. And that's just because you want to be hitting your fastest speed at the takeoff. So if you're starting 18, 20 steps back and you hit your peak halfway through the run up, then that's obviously not doing you any favours. So you want to be peaking down at the at the mats.
Just seeing a shot there of Olivia Mctaggart with that left hand, the wrist and thumb, and it's obviously going to go and get that looked at. That was from a little bit earlier, just about 5-10 minutes ago, where her pole snapped as she was jumping, and so forced her. Well, she was able to carry on somehow, but couldn't clear 4.40. I'm just going to go and get that checked quite wisely.
Absolutely, you want to get on top of that. And it's probably, as good as timing goes. It's the last season of the competition, and often most of these athletes will be having 1 to 2 weeks off training completely after the season as their rest. So it's a good time just to be able to recover and heal from something like that and come back ready. But they won't have much time off, some of these athletes. So we've got James Stain and Nick Southgate, but also Imogen Eris and Olivia Mctaggart, all qualified and named in the Oceania Championship team, which is in June this year. So that will be amazing to have a full field of, New Zealand any country can only send 2 athletes in each, male and female. So we're sending the full lot. So that's unusual for pole vault, but again, a testament to Jeremy.
It's great to see. It's great. The overall development of track and field in New Zealand, and of such a diverse array of events, as Etienne Dupre, who has gone up a notch to 4.57, his first attempt at this height, and runs through that one.
Just not quite feeling it. Something would have been off. Looks like he's said something to Jeremy already about what he was thinking. And he'll be just getting himself ready for the next one.
Nick Southgate, who's the five-time New Zealand champion, or is it sixth? Six-time New Zealand champion, but missed out this year to James Stain, who is, they had a great rivalry, the two of them, throughout the summer, Stain and Southgate. Nick winning the Sir Douglas Graham International it was a couple of weeks ago, as we can pop down here from Jake again, who has Imogen Eris with him.
Now, how was that? It was pretty cool to see everyone around you in those moments of, the end of the competition, but it must have been pretty cool to be out there.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I was here last year as well, and just having the crowd so close and everyone getting amongst, it's just amazing. There's nothing like it.
Now, let's get to know you a little bit better in terms of the pole vault ranks. When did you get started? What draw are you in?
I used to be a gymnast. I was also doing athletics at the same time, so kind of combined the two together, and here I am.
It seems to be the case that every gymnast wants to be a pole vaulter. Is it just sort of the extreme gymnasts?
Yeah, it's just that addiction to being upside down and flying through the air. It's something else.
Is it pretty scary? I've asked that question to one of your teammates alongside you, but seeing Olivia go through that, it must be pretty scary to see your friends go through things like that.
You don't really think about it. I've had some pretty crazy crashes in my time, but you just forget about it. That feeling when you clear a bar is so worth it.
And now, second time you've been amongst this vertical pursuit. What was it like coming back?
I was so excited. It was the last competition of the season, so it was a bit of a tease all the way through waiting for it. But no, I just love it out there.
And now Townsville's next for you. You excited for that? What's going on?
So excited. So I'll head to Townsville for Oceanias, and that'll be my pre-camp for World University Games, which will be in Italy.
Well, good luck with that. A high of 4.17 today for Imogen Eris. Ladies and gentlemen, is congratulated today for her efforts. Imogen Eris.
She's had a great competition today, Imogen Eris, and she is one of those athletes that will be going off to the Oceania Champs that Eliza mentioned. They are in late June in Townsville. As we see Etienne Dupre missed at 4.57 at the first attempt, and here he goes into the second, out of the shade and into the sun. Runs through again. Something is not quite right for him at the moment.
Yeah, just getting back into it as well after having sat down for near an hour and a half. Not that easy. He has had a little bit of knee difficulties this year, and so, yeah, sitting down for that long doesn't necessarily help. It does look like he's been looking little bit of a grimace and shaking his legs a bit. So hopefully he's feeling good for this last attempt at 4.57 metres coming up.
It is cool. You can see in the background there the hoodies and jumpers that everybody else has got on. Then of course there's the guys in the shade that never feel the cold, but it is quite cool, and they have had to sit for some time. These guys waiting around. When I say sit, I don't think they've stopped moving the entire time. If they,
it's a bit tricky to sit down. You just there's too much going on. You can't just sit still. So you see James is having a bit of a wander here, just keeping the legs moving as well. You don't necessarily want to just be sitting down. Otherwise, you've lost everything that you've done in your warm-up. So you do want to just keep active, as you see James doing. He's getting ready, just keeping himself warm, keeping his legs ticking over so that it's not a shock to the system when he gets up for his first attempt. And he will be coming in at 5.17 metres. And before him, Nick Southgate at 5.07 metres. But right now we have Etienne on the runway for his third attempt at 5.57 metres. Second height for him, he cleared 4.47 before this.
Just shaking the legs out and regaining some of that focus. He's an experienced athlete, Etienne Dupree. Cleared that first height nicely. Really good job. And this 4.57 has been a challenge so far. Getting the spike set, ready to go, charging down the runway here at Federal Street again. Third and final attempt at 4.57 for Etienne Dupree. Has to pull out of it. A shake of the head and disappointment.
Not happening today, unfortunately. Does look like just the way he's reacting, he doesn't look like he's 100% at the moment. He has battled a little bit this season, so he's done incredibly well to get through the whole season with just those little niggles. They're just awful. They just make you feel old and just sit back, and you just, it makes everything hard work. So it was a good effort from him out here today. Last competition of the season for him before going into winter training.
There's nothing about winter training sounds particularly enjoyable.
Well, some people enjoy it because they like the satisfaction of, training hard, working out really hard, and the satisfaction of that, which I understand, absolutely. But it's not that easy necessarily to, they're not easy trainings, more endurance on the track, heavy weights in the gym, but you do come out stronger at the end, so it is worth it. But we have Nick Southgate on the runway, so the height's moving all the way up to 5.07 metres now for Nick's first attempt.
So he's just chalking his hands?
Yes, he's the only athlete you'll see today using chalk. It's something
old school.
When we all used to use it, and most of us switched to the black sticky grip, just gives you a bit more stick. But a lot of men and men's pole vault in general internationally use chalk, so it just seems to be a bit more of a preference for the men. So Nick will be on a 16-step runway, 16-step run up today, I believe.
Great photo of Nick there on the left, the 6-time New Zealand champion with a personal best of 5.47. Away he goes, first attempt at 5.07 metres. What a great start for Nick Southgate.
He's looking surprised that the bar stayed on. It's fair enough, been sitting for that long. The first jump can be a little bit ugly, but that doesn't matter as long as you clear it. And Nicholas is somebody who has incredible bar awareness. He just gets himself around the bar no matter where it is. So that's obviously a huge advantage. Not a bad start, but I'm sure we will see the height's just getting a little bit easier. Even the next height might just look a little bit easier as he warms into the competition. But any time that you clear the first height on the first attempt, not a bad start whatsoever.
No, first attempt done at 5.07, so that means we go straight up 10 centimetres to 5.17, and it's James Stain who is the new national champion. He won the Nationals over Nick Southgate a few weeks ago, and of course coming off a personal best performance just last weekend in Australia, 5.5, a centimetre off the national record. He's in great form, and here's James Stain, his first attempt at 5.17 metres here in Federal Street, and pulls up short on that one.
Same thing again, very similar to Nick's first jump, but James just didn't quite complete it. They just didn't quite have the energy for that first one. And as I said before, it's not uncommon when you've just been sitting down for so long. The first one can be really ugly, but often from then on, you're in the competition, you're warmed up, you're ready to go. So that should just be a little, not so much even a hiccup, it's just the beginning of the comp really. So hopefully we'll see him come in. But before then, we see Nick Southgate at his first attempt at 5.17 metres.
He's got the benefit of having one jump under his belt and cleared at 5.07 just a few moments ago. The bar wobbled, but it stayed on, so it doesn't matter sometimes how you get there as long as you do.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just going to wobble and you just get off the mat and carry on.
Winning ugly. There's always a way to do it. So Nick Southgate. Set. Head into the afternoon here at Sky City. This competition has been going for an hour and a half, but the men just getting started. Southgate.
Always looks fairly calm, Nick. As he comes down the runway for his first attempt, 5.17 metres.
The effort on the face.
Much better jump.
And a good fist pump too, and he knows it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. As I said, that first jump can just be ugly, but the second jump looked a lot better. Even though it was 10 centimetres higher, he just cleared it so much better, a lot more height. And so now he's really into the competition, and he's looking good. I mean, to clear that first attempt, it's a great start for him in the competition.
Almost perfect.
Look at that, nice and easy. Perfect bar awareness, just curls himself around the bar. A lot of control. And now we have James Stain for his second attempt at 5.17 metres. He's on 18-step runway, so he's a lot further back on the run-up. He's probably just almost as far back as they've put the run-up down. So he has a long run-up, but it's proven to be just exactly what he's needed this season. It's his first season doing it, and it's just been amazing. He's obviously just taken to it. He's been able to get onto bigger poles. He is on 490 poles, 4.9 metre poles. So is Nick as well. James is on carbon poles though, and Nick's on fiberglass. Not a huge difference, but carbon tends to be a little bit lighter. And a lot of men tend to like the fiberglass. But here is James' second attempt.
Good for the excess baggage on the flight as well. Here's James Stain goes his second attempt, 5.17. This is his opening height as well, and that is a beauty.
Really nice jump. Really nice jump. Lots of clearance there. Very easy. Once he was able to get his first height, his first run done, his first attempt done, warmed up a little bit more, so the second attempt is just a lot easier. And as you can see, he had a really great clearance over that. He'll be really happy just to be in the competition.
We're underway now. Here's the bar goes up, the crank is turned. We will go up again, looking nice and relaxed, James Stain. There's people at every vantage point. And we head up 5.27 metres.
Another 10 centimetres from the last one, but both of them cleared it nice and easily, so this extra 10 centimetres shouldn't hold up too much of a problem, but it is pole vault. There's a lot of variables, you never know what might happen. But yeah, here's Nick looking very calm. He's very good at that, remaining calm. All of the other athletes show a bit more nerves, but he's been in the game a long time now. He's been vaulting for quite some time, really. I think he started a number of years ago, probably about 10 or 12 years ago he's been vaulting. All this time with Jeremy. Jeremy's taken him right from the beginning, so when I started pole vault, Nick was already there, already actually achieving a lot. So
at 25, Nick's the old guy.
Yes, he is.
Which is a bit of a worry. James Stain, the national champion. We've gone up again to 5.27 metres.
First attempt, here he comes down the runway. Long run up for James.
Big long strides, and he's taken the bar on the way down.
Just didn't quite have the depth on that one. Looks like that action he just made to Jeremy, who's standing off to his left, to his right, is when he moved his hands like that, what he's kind of saying is he didn't chop properly. Now, chop. What that means.
Those at home, you should see the look I just gave Eliza, a very quizzical, confused one.
So essentially, the last 6 steps of your run up, it's when you're at your fastest, and you've got to convert all of that energy that you've created on the runway into the pole. Now, what you want to do is to keep the speed going as much as you can. So you try to speed up your steps as much as possible while keeping your knees nice and high, so they're much faster steps, so, you know, a bigger, faster cadence, and then it's just a lot easier to generate that speed and put it into the pole. And when you don't chop so well, you just come into it too soft, and you know, the pole just doesn't react how you want it to. You didn't hit it as strong as you need to, whereas if you chop really nicely, all of the speed goes into the pole, and you've got the strength there, and you're ready to go. So that's the motion that he just gave to Jeremy. He straight away knew I need to chop faster. I need to do more of that, just to improve the jump.
Do you all have degrees in sports science and engineering?
Well, I mean,
biomechanics is.
We have got a couple students here though, studying that sort of thing at university.
I think so. Here goes Nick Southgate, first attempt at 5.27. He's had 2 good clearances so far, but isn't going to make it 3 in a row.
Not quite. I imagine he probably went up a pole, up in stiffness. So it's just a bit stiffer, and he needs to put more into it than the pole before. That looks like what's happened. And so he just didn't quite feel it. Often on your first jump on a stiffer pole, you hit it and it just feels a bit too stiff. But really that's actually what you want, but it takes a little bit for your brain to say, okay, fine, we'll do it.
And of course, with just the 2 of them in the competition, it means the next jump comes around pretty quickly. Not a lot of time to think about it. Sometimes that might not necessarily be a bad thing, getting straight back out there, as James Stain is doing.
5.27 metres is the height. Here's James. Second attempt.
Goes James Stain. He's been in fabulous form in recent times, but again, just a little bit short. And now the pressure starts to ramp up a notch.
So he will be on to his 3rd attempt next time. He was just pointing at his head. I think what he's trying to say is that he knows that this pole is going to work, and he just has to hit it harder. He knows what he has to do. It's almost like sometimes you feel like you hold yourself back a little bit. You know that the pole you're on is right, but you just hold back. You hesitate when the hesitation is what sets you back. So he knows that. He knows what he needs to do. And last attempt, you'll have the adrenaline. So it should be a much better attempt. But then before that we have James on his last attempt, we have Nick on his 2nd attempt at 5.27 metres.
Must just be a constant learning, constant little adjustments here and there in the white-hot arena of competition. And yes, while this is more relaxed than most competitions, there's still a bit on it, and there's, as we talked about, the rivalry that these 2 men have had this summer at the various events in New Zealand and overseas. Plus that continued strive for improvement, the home crowd.
And we've talked a lot about the Oceania champs that's coming up, but all 4 of those athletes that I mentioned, James, Nick, Olivia and Imogen, are also all qualified for World University Games, which is for university students. It's an incredible competition, and for us to send the maximum number from New Zealand is, again, outstanding, a testament to Jeremy. It's not common.
Yeah, those are in Naples in July, so massive year of international competition as well. The domestic season's all but over, just a few jumps left in it as Nick Southgate makes his 2nd attempt at 5.27 metres. This time, is it going to stay up? Yes!
That was a really great jump from Nick, and as I said, he has this great bar awareness. You know, he knows where he is, he knows where the bar is, and he can just wrap himself around it. And it's still wobbling a little bit there, but that does not matter because he cleared it. And that is on his 2nd attempt too, which is nice and safe, nice and comfortable for him.
So that swings all the pressure back onto James Stain, the national champ. Nick Southgate is the senior, the veteran of the pair. He's had the pedigree. James Stain has been nipping at him this year, and he's taken him out a couple of times, but so far Nick Southgate has shown the better form of the 2, and James needs this one at 5.27 metres to stay in the competition.
He's definitely capable of it, but things vary from day to day with pole vault. It's never easy to be that consistent, but some people manage it. So hopefully today James has this in the bag.
Here he goes, 3rd attempt, 5.27 metres for James Stain, the New Zealand champion. Has he got it this time? No!
Oh no!
Great frustration for James Stain. He'll be disappointed, but he just knew he just wasn't quite getting it right at this height of 5.27 metres.
There will be a bit of frustration there, but unfortunately today it just wasn't quite working.
Well, he has had such a great run of form.
It is, absolutely. He's had a really great season, and you have ups and downs, and following such a big PB, it's so difficult to get out for that next competition. You know, it can be hard to back up, and some people do, but nobody blames you when you've had such a big week, and then the next week you have to compete again. It's a tough thing, but as I said, they've got a busy year coming up with both Oceania Champs and World University Games. World Universities is a competition I did the year before the Rio Olympics, and I won the silver medal there, but the crazy thing about it is it's almost like a mini Olympics because it's a multi-sport competition, many countries, and you stay in and live in a village just like you do at the Olympic Games. And so I found it prepared me so well. I honestly think it was just such a great setup before going to the Olympic Games, because I got there and I got into the village at the Olympics, and it was what I'd done before. So it's so exciting that 4 new athletes in New Zealand pole vault are going to that competition this year.
Oh, and that went all right for you too, following year, it must be said. wasn't bad.
Oh, experience is a big thing, and so the more competitions you can do internationally, the better. And somebody like James Stain, this will be his first international competition. So that's just so important to get that done.
Yeah, I know it's why the New Zealand Olympic Committee and various other groups talk about the importance of the Commonwealth Games to be able to prepare athletes for that environment. And, you know, somebody like Olivia Mctaggart getting to go to the Gold Coast last year, experiencing the village and everything that comes with it, because until you get there, you just can't imagine what it's like. And then the Olympics is whole new level, right?
Absolutely. And so, yeah, again, for Olivia to be at the Commonwealth Games is just such a great way to get into it young and just to experience it young, because just the more you can experience these big competitions, just a little bit easier it gets to deal with them. But you know, the nerves are never going to go away. Those sorts of things are always there. No matter what competition I do, I think no matter what, you're always going to be nervous. But that's a good thing, right? You need that adrenaline.
Totally. Is it staggering for you to think that we're heading back into that next Olympics not that far away? Like 2016 is well in the distance now.
It's crazy, because really, as soon as I start competing internationally, it's almost like the run into the Olympics has begun. And that's because we've got world champs at the end of this year. Something like 6 months later, we have world indoor champs, and then something like 4 months later, we have the Olympics. And so 3 majors in a year. Athletics usually has 1 major in a year. So it's almost like it's starting now. So it's a little bit terrifying.
Oh, it's exciting for everybody else. All of us to watch is Nick Southgate, the only one left in the competition, and he's just ramped it up a notch at 5.40 metres. First attempt at this height for Nick Southgate, the 6-time New Zealand champion. Doesn't quite get it right this time. He just looks over to his coach, Jeremy McCall, and figures out what the adjustment is that needs to be made.
Now 5.4 metres will be a season best for Nick this year. His PB is 5.47 metres, so not that much further on really. We're talking small amounts, and he's only on 16 steps, which is just 2 steps away from his longest run up, 18 steps. So he is just that little bit depowered compared to what he would normally be. So it's incredibly impressive to be jumping near your PB when you're on a shorter run up. That's not an easy feat.
He's able just to take some time and have a chat to Coach McCall, who we've talked about a lot. And when you compete in the big international events, and coaches aren't down on the field with you, are they? In the stand and trying to communicate that way? You're allowed to run over and have a yarn?
Yeah, I mean, usually you can go as far as the end of the track. So, you know, you go out to the 8th lane of the track and you can kind of yell over the barrier. Sometimes they're still a good 10 metres away. But, I mean, Jeremy and I over the years have developed some good hand signals, which are very handy. Like I said, in the London Diamond League, the first year I did that, it was so deafeningly loud that I could not hear a single thing that was going on. So hand signals are a good thing. But also another little strategy is we have to move the uprights that the bar sits on. So you can change them, but they can be all the way from 0, so which is where the box is, to 80 centimetres behind the box. So you can change it to whatever you like any athlete can choose and change at any point in the competition. So that's the thing that I'm constantly changing, and so Jeremy often flashes up a big number, and I know straight away that means I need to go to the official and change my uprights.
That's interesting that, you think of sports where coaching, isn't it? Tennis, for example, if they're caught in the box, imagine them showing up a number or something like that, but that constant interaction, because you are, for all intents and purposes, out there alone, but it must be nice to have a little bit of guidance coming in from the stands.
Oh, absolutely. I do feel like we work as a team and we come as a team. In competition, I feel like what I do a lot is just the physical aspect of it. He tells me what he thinks needs to happen in the next jump, and I just go ahead and do that. And he keeps track, usually in these big competitions, he will keep track of where everybody else is at, so what place I'm sitting at, so that we can bring in tactics if we need to in terms of skipping heights and all that sort of thing. So I usually leave all of that up to him, and I just worry about jumping myself, and that seems to work.
Well, it seems to be going all right. It's been a great partnership, absolutely. And as I said, we've talked a lot about Jeremy McCall, but I don't think his influence on this sport should be understated by any stretch of the imagination. His impact in New Zealand sport is quite significant now, only growing as Nick Southgate steps back up onto the runway. He's had a bit of a breather. 4.40 metres is the jump height, missed at the first attempt.
540 is a fairly significant height for Nick, especially going into the year. With World Universities, he's been to it twice already in the past, every 2 years, and he's managed to do it twice already, so this will be his third World University Games. I'm sure he loves the competition. But today, if he can get to 540, that just sets him up. Wow.
So Nick Southgate at the top of the Federal Street runway, smile and a grimace, ready to go. Second attempt at 5.4 metres, charging down, the big strides, picking up pace, and now has he got it, just brings the bar on the way down.
That was a solid attempt though, that was showing some real promise. All the way to the bar, he looked like he was really on to jump that high. It was a really great tape up in the right spot, swung around upside down, quick as can be. Really good effort, but just didn't quite have it on that one. So we can see from under the bar, he's got a little bit of height there, just needs that little bit more height to get around the bar.
Just grazed the bar. Nick Southgate, the last man standing. The only athlete left in the competition. Olivia Mctaggart has taken out the women's event here at the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit. And Nick Southgate has seen off James Stain and Etienne Dupré, now just trying to ramp it up a notch and finish on a high. See if he can clear 540.
You have a little bit of time now because he's the last person in the competition. He gets 5 minutes, which is quite a bit of time really to sit down and to readjust. You might have a bit of water, you might even have a little bit of a snack, just whatever you
pop
need
into
to
the
do.
Fed Deli or Depot. Fish sliders at Depot, all right?
Oh, it's just perfect. Everything you need. So it's an amazing venue. To be able to fit the runway into this venue is quite incredible, because anybody who knows Federal Street, it is just a street. It is not wide, but we still managed to get a whole runway in here with the mats and everything.
It's so great to see the little ones who are in here and been watching and enjoying this, and that's what it's about too, isn't it? Starting to inspire little athletes, next generation. Little mini athletics is some of the funnest things to watch.
Absolutely, they're just great and they're full of enthusiasm, and that's what you need. I think that's part of the difficulty with the sport in New Zealand, is that we don't necessarily have the population, and so we don't have as many people coming through. But children's athletics is great, of course, because that's just, it's all about enjoyment. There's nothing serious. You don't have to choose an event. You can do whatever event you like. You can do as many events as you like when you're younger. I used to love discus and high jump and all sorts of things when I did all-round athletics, and it's just a great all-round sport.
Officials surveying the bar. It's a great view of the scene and all the vantage points that everybody gets at this competition. These athletes have been and done, and the season, I guess, is officially over and now into winter training for some of them. Probably a little bit of a breather beforehand.
Yeah.
Southgate there.
He's getting ready for his final attempt at 5.40 metres. Already won the competition with 5.27 metres. So he'll be looking to improve on his season best for the year, which is 5:30. So an extra 10 centimetres on that would be outstanding.
Now the jacket's off. Looks like he's ready to go. The shadow's really starting to creep across the runway now. It started in bright sunshine. It's certainly cooling down as well. So that's been something else for these athletes to contend with. Nick Southgate, the men's champion, he will take it out regardless of what happens here, but wouldn't he love to clear this? 5.40 metres, third and final attempt for Nick Southgate, the winner just a couple of weeks ago of the Sir Douglas Graham International, but he lost his national title this year. He'd love to finish off here with a good 5.40 to finish. Here goes Southgate, final attempt, striding down the runway. Hits the box, and the bar comes with him this time. Couldn't quite get around, and a third and final attempt at 5.40. Can't quite do it, Nick Southgate.
I mean, that was an outstanding attempt, though. That was a really great take. I mean, that was the best attempt he could really do it. That was, look at that. He almost had it wrapping around the bar, but unfortunately, it just came down with him. But not a bad effort. As I said, he's on a slightly shorter run-up than what he would normally be. There's him and James. James coming second with 5.17 metres and Nick 5.27 metres to take out the comp.
Oh, great to have the two of them now really able to push each other on. Take this sport to new heights, so to speak. Closing in James on that national record perhaps, and that will be in the sights of both of those men, I am sure. It has been wonderful competition here at Federal Street and Sky City, right in the heart of Auckland City, under the Sky Tower for the Huawei P30 vertical pursuit. The third year of the street athletics event, second time up here at Federal Street, and it's been another beauty, Eliza.
It has. I mean, yeah, last year was the first year, and it's always a bit tricky in the first year. I know they had a lot of difficulties setting the runway up last year, but this year they were more onto it. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and it's just turned out to be a huge success to be able to bring it to the people, bring it out to the streets, and get people involved in the sport is really, really great.
Yeah, well done to the Athletics New Zealand crew who are here at 4 in the morning, helping to set up the runway and getting everything sorted. There's a lot that goes on, and of course the officials from Athletics Auckland who have made the event possible, and because it does count as a full qualifying event, so all needed to be done with I's dotted and T's crossed, and it's gone off without a hitch aside from one big broken pole for Olivia Mctaggart, which will live long in the memory.
Yes, hopefully her wrist is okay. I'm sure she's still getting it. She had someone have a good look at it, which is very important, but hopefully it's nothing more than just a bit of bruising and she can get back into it soon. But most of these athletes will probably be taking 1 to 2 weeks off because it is the end of the season now, and it's just a really great time to take a break away from the sport before getting into winter training, which can be a bit tiresome.
All right, well, we'll wrap up here for a moment, but do stay looking at your live stream because we'll come back with a presentation for the athletes shortly from Federal Street.
This Athletics New Zealand event is proudly brought to you by the new Huawei P30 and Sky City.